This reaction is brought to you by my $5 or more supporters at coffee.com/AlexHeitz. I'd like to thank Andreas Glasel, Cole Alexander, Lukash Newman, Jag, Isidro Perez, Thin Ezzy, Willman, AJ, Lizardman aka Bill, and Ben Thrifty for sponsoring this video, supporting me, my family, the channel. I appreciate it immensely, and I hope you all enjoy this video. For a limited time, now only, album $2.99. Here we go. Hello everyone, welcome back. We are continuing on our Mount Eerie microphones binge, we got through the doozy, I think, but we're not out of the woods yet. So I had decided, you know what, I'm going to post the Crow Looked at Me album reaction unedited, because I felt like it would do a disservice to chop up those songs and post them in an edited format like that. So it has all of the, copyright on it. I'm not making any money on it, but I just wanted to give the album its proper due. And man, it was a harrowing thing. And I haven't done any follow-ups for it or anything like that. I've done follow-ups up through Dawn Winter Journal. But Crow Looked at Me, I have not quite given my thoughts on yet after having sat with it for, a couple weeks now. And it's, just to briefly touch on it, I'm going to save most of my thoughts for the actual follow-up coming later. Beautiful album, incredibly sad, but I like the emotional journey that it takes you through. I think Toothbrush/Trash is maybe one of the highlights of the album. I know people really like to give Real Death a lot of, acclaim, which makes complete sense to me. It's a really, devastating, hard, weighty song to kind of start the album off, and I get that. But I think there's something about Toothbrush/Trash that's just kind of stuck with me. That's kind of a turning point in the album, and it really resonated with me, and then it kind of ends with the last two songs. But incredible album, and we're going to be continuing on this path of reflecting on the death of one's spouse, and these existential big life questions and musings on things coming up in this album here. For those who don't know, I do unedited reactions on my Patreon, Coffee, coffee.com/AlexHeitz for $5 a month. You can get access to unedited reactions from April 2021 going forward is when I started doing unedited reactions. And we are at, let me actually see, we're about to 16 albums now, give or take. So over 100 unedited album reactions on the Coffee page. You can also hop in at the $1 per month level, get access to voting in polls that we do every 2 to 4 albums. It kind of just breaks up the monotony of going through these artist discography binges, and we get to interject random miscellaneous albums every 2 to 4 albums. So if you want to support the channel, that'd be the place to do it. Also, quick shout out for NordVPN, link in the description. Fantastic VPN with great speeds, great prices. They reached out and wanted to know if I wanted to do an affiliate link, and I'm like, sure, I've been using them for years, so if you're in need of a VPN, check it out in the description. Now only. March 2018. So I think he started making this immediately after either finishing Crow Looked at Me or after it was released. And I know it largely follows the same thing. He considers it a part 2 to Crow. And I know it's maybe a little bit bolder in terms of sonic palette, if you will. He gets a little bit more bigger, wider with the instrumentation here, it seems. And yes, it also recorded in the same room Genevieve, is that technically how you would say it with that kind of pronunciation? Still recorded in the same room in which she died. The album cover is a picture of Elvrum's refrigerator. There's a picture of Beat Happening on there. His wife is there. The Walt Whitman quote, "Let your soul stand cool and composed before a million universes." Also, that painting next to the duck, mallard, I don't know, to the right of the duck is foxgloves, which is one of the two paintings referenced in the track Two Paintings by Nikolai Astrup. Midsummer Eve Bonfire is not on the cover that I can tell. They're both cool paintings. You should go look them up if you haven't already. Very Ari Aster, if you will. Yeah, so this is, it's kind of a concise album with only 6 tracks, but like they're longer. Distortion is 11 minutes. Two Paintings is almost 10. So like, yeah, I want to start listening. I want to pay attention to the lyrics and see where Phil's head is at on this one, and just kind of soak it in and see how it sounds sonically different from the previous album, or if it's just kind of like, you know, is it a complete abrupt change, or is it a slow, you know, gradient kind of a thing? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start with the first track here, Tintin in Tibet, which is I've never read the comic. I've seen the movie, the animated movie, which was decent. And this specific, the 20th volume of the comic series Adventures of Tintin, by Belgian cartoonist Hergie. I don't know. Hergie? How do you pronounce that? You can see this comic book blurred in the background of the Crow Looked at Me album artwork, because that was a picture of him kind of cleaning out her art studio, which was across the hall from the room she died in. And like he kind of staged it sort of when he took the photo for the album cover, but you can see it kind of blurred in the background there. So anyway, Tintin in Tibet.
I sing to you, I sing to you, Geneviève, I sing to you. You don't exist. I sing to you though. When I address you, who am I talking to? Standing in the front yard like an open wound, repeating I love you. To who? I recorded all these songs about the echoes in our house now, and then walked out the door to play them on a stage. But I sing to you. I picture you. When we first met, you were 22. I drove my truck onto the ferry to Victoria in the morning, where we met and talked forever in your apartment with evening falling. So I brought my blankets in and slept on the floor right next to your bed. In the morning, barely awake, I saw you standing right above me, peeling an orange and looking hungry. Do you want some? You asked me, and then just avalanched into me with pieces of orange and weight and kissing and certainty. I remember you a few days later in Tofino, where we'd driven to play a show you'd set up for us at a surf shop to no one. Then we slept in the back of my truck and got woken up by the cops, and so went down to the fishing boat docks to ask whoever for a ride across the water to Mears Island to just get left there for the day. And we did, and brought some food to eat, and went through the big trees abandoned and in love, totally insane apart from the rest of the world. We had had finally found each other in the universe. Lying on the rocks, waiting for the boat to come pick us up, I read the one book we had with us aloud, with my head on your lap, sinking into you, Tintin in Tibet and French. And we thought of devotion and snow and distant longing in the Himalayan air, high and cold, with a bell ringing out. And then right before you died, 13 years later in our house, I remember through your gasping for oxygen, you explained that you were thinking about that high cold air wrapping the globe, singing above the mountains of the gods. And I do picture you there, molecules dancing. But I'd rather you were in the house watching the unfolding everyday life of this good daughter we made, instead of being scattered by the wind for no reason. So I sing to you.
There you go. Nice. Strong opener. Interesting, like, reflections back on, old memories. I know that there was, like, an intentionality in it not necessarily being that same kind of, like, raw, impromptu, in the moment kind of, like, simplicity that Crow had. Because, like, let me take a look at this real fast. Crow looked at me. Recorded from August 31st, 2016 to December 6th, 2016. Released March 24th, 2017. And then he played, when was after? That was 2018. He played, recorded that November 10th, 2017. And that was released September 2018. After Now Only, actually. And it features songs from Now Only, actually. So After was recorded before Now Only came out. Interesting. So, like, trying to look at this timeline here. Now Only was recorded from March 14th, 2017 to October 9th, 2017. And After was recorded on November 2017. So, like, right after he finished recording Now Only, he played the After show. And then next year, in March 2018, Now Only comes out. And then September 2018, After comes out. All right. I'm just trying to, like, because he's talking through, like, some chronology happening here. Like, the thing he said about, where was that? And then I walked out the door to play them on a stage. So he hadn't really done the After show yet while recording this. Which I don't know if I want to watch it or not. I may have, these two albums might be my, no pun intended, fill of this, of these songs. And I don't know if I want to see him, like, playing these live. Because, like, maybe that'd be too hard. I don't know. It's supposed to be pretty good, but, like, I'm a little apprehensive because it seems like a lot. But yeah, strong opener. We're going to go into the next track, Distortion, 11 minutes long. Is this going to be, I'm going to, like, do a quick check here. Is this going to be post-metal? No, it's drone though. Okay.
are gone and that I'm carrying some version of you around. Some untrustworthy old description in my memories. And that must be your ghost taking form, created every moment by me dreaming you so. And is it my job now to hold whatever's left of you for all time, and to reenact you for our daughter's life? I do remember when I was a kid and realized that life ends and it's just over, that a point comes where we no longer get to say or do anything. And then what? I guess just forgotten. And I said to my mom that I hope to do something important with my life, not be famous but just remembered a little more, to echo beyond my actual end. And my mom laughed at this kid trying to wriggle his way out of mortality, of the final inescapable feral scream. But I held that hope and grew up wondering what dying means. Unsatisfied, ambitious and squirming. The first dead body I ever saw in real life was my great-grandfather's, embalmed in a casket in Everett, in a room by the freeway where they talked me into reading a thing from the Bible about walking through a valley in the shadow of death. But I didn't understand the words. I thought of actually walking through a valley in a shadow with a backpack and a tent. But that dead body next to me spoke clear and metaphor-free. In December 2001, after having spent the summer and fall traveling mostly alone around the country that was spiraling into war and mania, little flags were everywhere. I was living on the periphery as a 23-year-old, wrapped up in doing what I wanted, and it was music and painting on newsprint, and eating all the fruit from the tree like Tarzan or Walt Whitman, voracious, devouring life, singing my songs, sleeping in yards without asking permission. That December I was shaken by a pregnancy scare from someone that I'd been with for only one night, many states away, who I hadn't planned to keep knowing. A young and embarrassing, overconfident animal night. Terror of the idea of fatherhood at 23 destroyed my foundation and left me freaked out and wandering around, mourning the independence and solitude that defined me then. Though my life is a galaxy of subtleties, my complex intentions and aspirations do not matter at all. In in the face of the crushing flow of actual time. I saw my ancestors as sad and misunderstood in the same way that my descendants will squint back through a fog trying to see some polluted version of all I meant to be in life. Their recollections pruned by the accidents of time, what got thrown away and what gets talked about at night. But she had her period eventually, and I went back to being 23. 11 years later, I was traveling alone again on an airplane from New Zealand to Perth, Western Australia. Very alone, so far away from you and the home that we had made. I watched a movie on the plane about Jack Kerouac, a documentary going deeper than the usual congratulations. They interviewed his daughter, Jan Kerouac, and she tore through the history. She told about this deadbeat drinking, watching Three Stooges on TV, not acknowledging his paternity, abandoning the child, taking cowardly refuge in his self-mythology. And when she spoke, I heard your voice telling me about the adults who had abandoned you as a sweet kid and left you to grow precariously. And when she spoke, I looked in her face and saw you looking back at me. On a tiny airplane seat screen at the bottom of the world, I saw a French-Canadian resemblance and heard suffering echoing. A lineage of bad parents and strong daughters withstanding. And she had black hair and freckles and pale skin just like you, and she told the hard truth and slayed the gods just like you. I saw the cracks in the facade of posterity. I missed you, so I went home. The second dead body I ever saw was you, Genevieve, when I watched you turn from alive to dead right here in our house. And I looked around the room and asked, are you here? And you weren't, and you are not here. I sing to you though. Breathing through my lungs in a constant, uncomfortable stream of memories trailing out until I am dead too. And then eventually the people who remember me will also die, containing what it was like to stand in the same air with me and breathe and wonder why. Distortion, and then the silence of space, the night palace, the ocean blurring, but in my tears right now, light gleams.
And of course, we have 10 seconds of silence. A moment of silence. Done. Interesting. I see how it's can be like labeled as drone. It was largely going back and forth, like up and down, like a 4, 5, 6 kind of progression. But we got some different chords towards the end there, which was interesting. Man, I am so apologies here. Hold on. I sneezed and now I got a runny nose. Ugh, my runny nose tissues in the trash. Yeah, I like as Crow Looked at Me has kind of like sunk in, and I've kind of like been processing it. Just really captivated by his like stark, honest lyrics. And like this song is definitely a highlight in that way. The things he's talking about, the first dead body he had to see, and that the dead body next to me spoke clear and metaphor free. And it's so fascinating to see him kind of work through like processing death, and that like especially like in that first song, Real Death, like it's not for poetry, it's not for singing about. And it kind of just cut through like that poetic artistic artifice. And like but he's also like at the end of Crow Looked at Me, he like started using more poetic language again. And it's like we as humans like need to do that, I think. There's some kind of like there is a stark reality to death, but like it's causing Phil to like unravel all of these complicated thoughts and ideas that he's processing. A little bit about when he was 23. That's interesting. And then what was the other part that that kind of grabbed me? The very end, the ocean blurring, but in my tears right now light gleams. Nice. I don't have a ton to say on that one because it was very straightforward musically, to a point, but also it was just like listening to all these lyrics. Cool. Well, let's keep going. Next one is the title track, Now Only.
Hospital waiting room full of people all absorbed in their own personal catastrophes, all reading books like Being Mortal, all with the look in their eyes. And I remember still feeling like no one can understand. No, my devastation is unique, but people get cancer and die. People get hit by trucks and die. People just living their lives get erased for no reason, with the rest of us watching from the side. And some people have to survive and find a way to feel lucky to still be alive, to sleep through the night. I wrote down all the details of how my house fell apart, how the person I loved got killed by a bad disease out of nowhere for no reason, and me living in the blast zone with our daughter and etc. I made these songs, and then the next thing I knew I was standing in the dirt under the desert sky at night, outside Phoenix at a music festival that had paid to fly me in to play these death songs to a bunch of young people on drugs, standing in the dust next to an idling bus with Skrillex inside and the sound of subwoofers in the distance, I had stayed up till 3 talking to Wise Blood and Father John Misty about songwriting in the backstage bungalows, eating fruit and jumping on the bed like lost children, exploding across the earth in a self-indulgent, all-consuming wreck of ideas that blot out the stars. To be still alive felt so absurd. People get cancer and die. People get hit by trucks and die. People just living their lives get erased for no reason, with the rest of us averting our eyes. When I was leaning on Skrillex's tour bus, waiting for the hotel shuttle in the middle of the night, I barely knew who I was. I looked up and saw Orion wielding a club and a shield, and there you were again, majestic, dead wife. As my grief becomes calcified, frozen in stories, and in these songs I keep singing, numbing it down, the unsingable, real memories of you, and the feral eruptions of sobbing. These waves hit less frequently. Thin, and then they are gone. You are gone, and then your echo is gone, and then the crying is gone. And what is left but this merchandise? This is what my life feels like now. Like I got abruptly dropped off on the side of the road in the middle of a long, horrible ride in a hot van. It was too full of confident, chattering dudes, and the sound of tires receding. Taking in the night air, I say, now only.
Amazing. That rivals Toothbrush Trash for me a little bit as far as like a favorite from these last two albums. That was magnificent. It also reminded me another thing about the previous song. Talking about like I was living on the periphery as a 23-year-old, wrapped in doing what I wanted, sleeping in yards without asking permission. Terror of the idea of fatherhood at 23 destroyed my foundation, left me freaked out and wandering around mourning the independence and solitude that defined me then. And then here, what was it he said that kind of made me think about that again? Eating fruit, jumping on the bed like lost children, exploding across the earth in a self-indulgent, all-consuming wreck of ideas. To be still alive felt so absurd. Yeah, there's this, like, you know, death is real, death is dumb, and it's an objective truth in life that people die. People just living their lives get erased for no reason, as he might say. And there's this innate desire for survival. And it's not even completely like survival, but like, you know, there's a hole in our heart that needs to be filled. And where you fill that is incredibly important, I would say. But it's not just a desire for like survival in a purely like naturalistic way of viewing it, but a desire to thrive, like something beyond just like the flesh, dare I say. I'm not going to get too much into that, but like I can see him kind of like wrestling with that, where it's like, yeah, death is this stark, dumb, bad, awful thing. And how I am trying to like reckon with it now that it's in my life is causing me to like, you know, go through all of these like memories and like looking at the past in a different way, because he's definitely pulling up a lot of memories on this album. And I think that the fridge with the all the art and pictures on it is definitely indicative of that. But yeah, the I love the kind of like wistful, soft, melodic guitar line in there. And then the almost like kitschy, schmaltzy, kind of happier sound in like the chorus, but then like once it all comes down to like what he's feeling, like the piano just goes great. I could talk about this song for a long time, but I'm gonna keep moving on. That was one of my favorites so far. Next track is Earth.
I don't want to live with this feeling any longer than I have to, but also I don't want you to be gone. So I talk about you all the time, including the last day that you were alive. And I hang your pictures around the house for me to surprise myself with and cry. Everybody that used to know us seems concerned, but if they knew that when you enter my mind I'm full of the love that illuminated our house for all those years and made this dancing child who tears through the days with the brilliance you would have deepened and sang along with, but you're sleeping out in the yard now. What am I saying? No one is sleeping. You don't even have a dead body anymore. It was taken away. I went and wrote a check and got a cardboard box full of your ashes and a little plastic bag with your necklace, and I drove back home truly alone. I guess I didn't bury it deeply enough when I poured out your ashes beneath the 3 witch hazels that you planted in the yard a few years ago, in a triangle for us, where me and the kid were rolling in the grass the other day, and I saw actual chunks of your bones, bleached and weathered, unerasable. You're still out there in the spring upheaving, coming out of the ground into air. Is that exact fragment your finger that once caressed me not that long ago? I still can feel it. And is that other shard a piece of your skull that once contained the wild brain that used to overflow with loving? discovered and gone, and now just shrapnel remains. Earth. Another place I poured your ashes out was on a chair on top of a mountain, pointed at the sunset. I went back there last week after a year has passed and noticed that the chunks of your bones that haven't been blown away are indistinguishable from the other pieces of animal bones brought there by coyotes, vultures, and gods. Against my will, I felt a little bit of solace creeping in while I laid there on the moss, composed in memory. There's nothing else. I can hear wolves in the throne room singing. I will lay down my bones among the rocks and roots. At night I sit and picture myself curled up beneath 10 feet of water at the bottom of the lake. I imagine trout bumping against me in the low diminished light, holding my breath, trying to be a boulder, eroding to join you in remingling with the background of churned mug coalescing in the dark to get ground back down to matter only, eternal and dumb, becoming not a thing, abdicating. Form.
Okay. So on this one, I enjoyed the instrumentation, some of the songwriting, like the open electric guitar strumming was really nice. Going back and forth between like the 4 and the 6 was good. The lyrics seemed like a little, I wouldn't say aimless, but they kind of like meandered. At least to begin with, but like some of these things were like devastating. Saw actual chunks of your bones. The thing about I will lay down my bones among the rocks and roots is apparently from a Wolves in the Throne Room song, an American black metal band. I like this quote that Phil said. For the most part, most art seems cartoonish, especially metal. I really like dark music, and all that immediately seemed like people in Halloween costumes who were singing about skeletons and had never actually experienced real loss. I still really like metal and its re-entered usefulness in my life, but there's still something problematic about people poking around in darkness and negativity without actually participating in it. I don't know, maybe not. People can do whatever they want. I think that's funny. When I was writing those words in Earth, about finding her chunks of bone, if anything, I didn't want it to seem gratuitous. That's what I was worried about. I didn't want to be perceived as veering into that realm of metal, saying gory, shocking things. I knew for myself I wasn't. It was real, and I was just telling the truth. I did go out in the yard, and I found her bones. It wasn't heavy or shocking, and that's not the point I'm trying to make in this song. Wow. Yeah, I am enjoying the... I think the thing with Crow was that because it was so impromptu and candid, it was less about the songwriting. He was just kind of like which it has its own beauty in this way where I wouldn't say any of those songs were boring or anything, but like when I think about the chords or the melodies, like those don't jump out to me, which is part of why Toothbrush Trash, not only lyrically, I think is one of the more important songs on the album, but that's when he kind of starts to like become a songwriter again almost. Where it's like that moment where it's like I hear a door close when the song changes, like that's one of the first times we get like an actual kind of like normal song, as far as like melody and chords, and everything else has just kind of been like whatever it needs to be. Here I think it's more palatable, and it might become more memorable because of that, because like not only are these lyrics still just as, you know, hard hitting as the previous album, but these songs have more like personality to them, in an obvious way, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. Next track is Two Paintings by Nikolai Astrup. Like I said, Fox, what is it called? Foxgloves. Yeah, there's another Nikolai Astrup painting from 1920 called Foxgloves that hangs on the fridge. It's a verse in the song. Look at that. It's to the right of that duck there. But let's go ahead and listen.
I know no one now. Now I say you. Now after the ground has opened up. Now after you died. I wonder what could beacon me forward into the rest of life. I can glimpse occasional moments, gleaming like bonfires burning from across the fjord. Valleys wrapping back up through the fjords at dusk, hovering like scarves of mist draped along the ridges above, couples dancing in the green twilight around fires and in the water below. The reflections of other fires from other parties illuminate the depths and glitter, shine. Everyone is laughing and there's music, and a man climbs up the hill pulling a juniper bough to throw into the fire to make some sparks rise up to join the stars. These people in the painting believed in magic and earth, and they all knew loss, and they all came to the fire. I saw this one young woman in the foreground with a look of desolation and a body that looked pregnant as she leaned against the moss-covered rocks off to the side. Apart from all the people celebrating midsummer, I knew her person was gone, just like me. And just like me, she looked across at the fires from far away and wanted something in their light to say, live your life. And if you don't, the ground is definitely ready at any moment to open up again, to swallow you back in, to digest you back into something useful for somebody. And meanwhile, above all these Norwegians dancing in the twilight, the permanent white snow gleamed. You used to call me Neige Eternal. The man who painted this girl's big black eyes, gazing, drawing the fire into herself, standing alone, Nikolai Astrup. He also died young, at 47, right after finishing building his studio at home, where he probably intended to keep on painting his resonant life into old age. But sometimes people get killed before they get to finish all the things they were going to do. That's why I'm not waiting around anymore. That's why I tell you that I love you. Does it even matter what we leave behind? I'm flying on an airplane over the Grand Canyon, imagining strangers going through the wreckage of this flight if it were to crash. And would anyone notice or care, gathering up my stuff from the desert below? Would they investigate the last song I was listening to? Would they go through my phone and see the last picture I ever took was of our sleeping daughter early this morning, getting ready to go? And I was struck by her face, sweet in the blue light of our dim room. Would they follow the thread back and find her there? I snap back out of this plane crash fantasy, still alive, and I know that's not how it would go. I know the actual mess that death leaves behind just gets bulldozed in a panic by the living, pushed over the waterfall, because that's me now, holding all your things, resisting the inevitable. Flooding of the archives, the scraps distributed by wind, a life's work just left out in the rain. But I'm doing what I can to reassemble a poor substitute version of you made of the fragments and drawings that you left behind. I go through your diaries and notebooks at night. I'm still cradling you in me. There's another Nikolai Astrup painting from 1920 called Foxgloves that hangs on the fridge, and I look at it every morning and every night before bed. Some trees have been cut down next to a stream flowing through a birch grove in late spring, and two girls that look like you gather berries in baskets hunched over like young animals grazing, with their red dresses against the white birch tree trunks interweaving beneath the clattering leaves. The three stumps in the foreground remind me that everything is fleeting, as if reminding's what I need. But then the foxgloves grow, and I read they're the first flowers that return to disturbed ground, like where logging took place, or where someone like me rolled around wailing in a clearing. Now I don't wonder anymore if it's significant that all these foxgloves spring up on the place where I'm about to build our house and go to live and let you fade in the night air, surviving with what dust is left of you here. Now you will recede into the paintings.
Interesting. Reusing the motif from Who on Lost Wisdom. I was not expecting that. That was cool. And the I Know No One lyric also reused from No Flashlight. Man. And again with like the he's been so good at doing this for so long, where these like musical transitions into different styles. Because like he would go from like, you know, the acoustic guitar motif from Who, and then like electric guitar would come in and would like the riff would kind of like rise up, and then like that's where the playing would be. And then it kind of settled back down into the acoustic part. Really nice. I'm feeling like I need to post this one unedited too. If anything, there's way more lyrics here. Like every track is a Soria Moria, more or less. Which, you know, makes things easier for me that I don't have to make an edited version per se. But yeah, I don't think I can cut these songs up either. There's just so much going on here, and it's captivating. Interesting commentary on these paintings as well. Man, a quote from Phil: "The song Two Paintings by Nikolai Astrup is digging into like what is art in the context of loss. What is even for? Even now I'm surrounded by Genevieve's art. She left so much that was unpublished, and one of the big projects of my life right now is physically assembling her legacy. And also, here I am making more artifacts that will be left behind after I'm dead. It's so intense to be observing the transition from a living person into a memory. Things get forgotten every day about her, and I'm watching that unfold, and I know that will happen to me. And I look back at this painter from 100 years ago, and I know that it happened to him and to every person who's ever been alive. I feel like just an observer in my own life right now. Reckoning with some serious stuff, you know. That's the way it is. That track definitely felt like this album's Soria Moria to a degree. Like that was kind of a mountain to climb, if you will, a Mount Eerie to climb. Yeah, we're down to the last one. This is Crow Part 2, and this one 7 minutes, but yeah, let's go ahead and finish this out, and we'll talk about the whole album.
That's being dreamed by a child who's being carried through the forest, sleeping, wandering in her twilight half-awareness where her mother went. I know that you died, but in this child's crow dream you survive, beneath layers of magical, symbolic wild animals inhabiting the edges of our fogged over consciousnesses, grasping for something to hold, something old, like a name cut into a stone, or a bird that will make eye contact. That's where you live now, or at least that's where I hold you. And we're still here without you, sleeping and the sun's coming up. In the ruins of our household we wake up again, coming back into this. Every day that comes, the echo of you living here gets quieter, obscured by the loud wind of us now, wailing and moaning for you, but also living, talking about school, making food, just surviving and still containing love, waking up again. The baby that you knew is now a kid, and when she looks at me with your eyes, the shape of omens, I'm stirred inside and reemerge. I go downstairs and turn on CBC and make some coffee and boil 2 eggs, make 2 pieces of bread into toast, open a window and give the child some clothes, and get us sitting at the table where your chair still sits across from me, watching. I stand to put on music. Our daughter sees and asks for Mama's record, and she's staring at the speaker with this look of recognition, putting it together that that's you singing. I'm sobbing and eating eggs again. You're a quiet echo on loud wind, but when I'm trying to, I see you everywhere, in plants and birds and in our daughter, in the sun going down and coming up, and in whatever, in the myths that used to get told around the fire, where a seal's head pokes up through from underwater, crossing a threshold between 2 worlds, yours and mine. We were skeletally intertwined once, but now I notice ravens instead. I don't see you anywhere. Reaching through to the world of the gone,
I don't know why. Every time I'm like finishing up an album, the dog starts barking in the other room. I apologize for that. Whew, man. Apparently, on like a Reddit AMA, he was asked what his favorite song was, like back in February 2018. And he said Crow Part 2, which is really an interesting thing. Yeah, the like I said, the musical aspect of the whole thing, um, the songwriting, the arrangements, these like folk guitar arrangements are some of the best he's done in a long time, I think. Um, like I'm thinking back to like I don't even think No Flashlight had that. Like this was not Lost Wisdom had some. There's a few tracks on Dawn that I think were also quite like that, but yeah, really nice guitar work on here, I think. Very deft arrangements. And that is now only. Now only. It's good. I think it's more palatable than A Crow Looked at Me, and I honestly like kind of feel like it needs to be rated in a similar fashion. Um, which is to say I don't know how to do that. But yeah, it's definitely just like following the same threads that were, moving through their own pacing and hills and valleys on Crow, just kind of developing here. I think this is probably, dare I say, a little tighter, maybe. Only 6 tracks, which Crow was what? How many? Let me look. 11? 11. So like kind of half as far as like track listing goes, but this one's actually longer, believe it or not. Yeah, I think the title track was a big highlight for me. Very poignant, very poignant. Lots to think on, lots to digest yet again. And I'm curious, like, he got married to Michelle Williams of all people, like right around this time. Dare I say, hold on, can I look? I don't know a whole lot about this, and I don't know if it's reflected in his like later music, because like after this, his next studio album was over a year later in November 2019. In 2018, he married actress Michelle Williams. Around the same time, Elver moved from his longtime residence in Anacortes to Williams' home in Brooklyn. The couple separated in January 2019 and filed for divorce in April 2019. Following the split, Elver moved back to Washington State after having lived in New York for about 9 months. So yeah, Lost Wisdom was recorded after his split and divorce with Michelle, it looks like. Which that's so fascinating to me. Like that kind of rebound after like the things he's talking about on these 2 albums. Like what exactly happened there? And I'm curious to see like if he talks about that. Because it seemed like just out of the blue. And also like seeing that he is with someone now named hold on, what's her name? Personal life, where are you? Indigo Free, and as of August 2025 they were expecting a baby. And I looked at his Instagram and I like saw pictures of her, and like I don't criticize anybody for getting remarried or finding another partner after yours has passed. I understand that. Me personally, like my wife and I have no plans to ever get remarried if one of us were to die or to like be with anyone else. I forget what it was. It was some form it was like I don't think it was a book, may have been a movie or a TV show, but like someone had like asked a person like, are you ever planning on getting like remarried? And his response was, my wife is dead. And I was like, that kind of like dedication. And like, you know, I can't say whether or not for sure, like I could handle things, you know, emotionally, because kind of like Phil's talking about here, it's like, you don't really know until you're in it. And like, I hope I never have to be in that. That'd be such a tragedy. And I feel bad for anyone like Phil who is in those circumstances. It's so heavy and hard and it seems impossible to live through. But yeah, to see him at least like moving on to some degree, I think is a good thing. And I'm just curious to see how this plays out into the next two albums. And I'm so fascinated now by Microphones in 2020 and how that's going to play out. I'm planning on doing that one as a like video reaction to the music video. That's what I'm planning on doing if I can and it doesn't get like blocked or whatever. But now only, really nice. Is it as good as Crow Looked at Me? Maybe not in certain ways. Because, you know, it has had more time to kind of digest and it's more of a typical Phil album than Crow Looked at Me is, I think. But it doesn't quite have that, it's hitting that raw nerve, although some of the lyricism definitely is still weighty and heavier. But this is much more of a typical Phil album, and I think that can give it a bit of a strength over Crow in some ways. But very good, very good. Lost Wisdom Part 2, I believe, is the next one that we'll be doing. So eager to hear that one. All right, that's it, everybody. We are done for the day. We are done. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, planning on posting this one unedited as well. Don't know about future Mount Eerie albums, if that's applicable or not. If they're in the same vein, we'll see. But things to plug, yet again, coffee.com/AlexHeitz. $5 a month access to unedited reactions, $1 a month access to voting in the polls that we do every 2 to 4 albums. And those, there's a poll coming up after Lost Wisdom Part 2 before we do Microphones in 2020. So if you want to join the coffee page, you can do that. Also, I got to shout out the Discord, link in the description for that. Got about 200 members over there. It's not the most active server, but I will post like when I go live on YouTube or Twitch, and access to like, you know, early posted unlisted album reactions and things like that. So if you want to join the community of this man, that's where you do it. All right, that's all I got, everybody. Today, this definitely was a bit more of an emotional listen for me than Crow was. Somehow, I don't quite know how that worked out, but something about like more of the musicality, because I think music can kind of speak to me a little bit clearer than just straight lyrics can. Although these lyrics have been devastating, but there was something about, especially the Now Only track, that was just like, oh, geez, man. All right, yeah, that's it. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care, fare thee well, and Godspeed.